turn you back to.
Can I come with you?
On the altar chair.
I don't know.
Beth, here we go back into the speech.
All right. Here?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, all right. Actually, although it's our 50th wedding anniversary, I have known Eric Brindle for 53 years. Because when I was a second year... Oh, what's going on? Hello? No? No? Oh, yes. That's better. Yeah. When I was a second year at college at Worcester, this guy came in as a first year. So, in my second year, unlike me, I was chosen to be Angel Gabriel in the Christmas pantomime. There are pantomime in the carol service. And on the day of our dress rehearsal, there were these guys behind stage. One of which was Eric, with his friend Alan, who unfortunately can't be with us today because he lives in France and he's had an operation and he's not well enough to come. But they were the stage guys, and in those days, thunder and lightning was made by a piece of metal that they rattled like mad, during this this performance. So there I was in my gold gown, with bare shoulders, because I was one of these things where it was very old-fashioned, attached, being Angel Gabriel, I had wings and things that you pulled out from the side. And after the performance, this guy came round backstage and put his arm around me. I didn't know him from Adam. Bare shoulders, and said to me,
you knew in the biblical sense.
and said to me, "Here, love, don't wear them black bra and pants on the night, will you?" So that was my first introduction to Eric Brindle. And from then on, in between times, we met in the dining hall, and sort of across tables, I saw this northern guy pouring HP and tomato sauce over every meal that he had. And my dad would just absolutely never have entertained that in our house. It's like, my dad was like, "Your mother's made this food and it's tasty enough and you don't have any of that rubbish." So I was like, "Oh, who's this?" So, and then eventually we used to call horrible things to each other, like you do when you're pretending not to like somebody. And eventually he asked me out. Well, some of the table down there were in the same accommodation as I was. And the girls in the brew group said to me, "Well, go out with him, see if he can use a knife and a fork." And of course, he'd been to Bolton School, so I had doors opened, I was put on the right side of the road when we were walking along. We went to this lovely restaurant and we had a lovely meal, even in those days. And so then we started to go out officially. So we saw a lot of each other in that year. And because because that's what it was when you were at college, you virtually lived in each other's pockets almost. And then during this time my dad died, so I went back to live with my mum for a couple of years, and I was in a year above Eric, so I was down in Surrey teaching, and then when he left, he went to the East End of London because they wouldn't accept his accent in Surrey, because they said, would the children understand him? I mean, can you imagine that happening these days? Oh my goodness. So anyway, we got through all that, didn't we, love? And eventually
came up to live in the proper world.
Yes, well, we could only afford a house up here rather than down there, even in those days. So we were very lucky to get our little house when only the man's wage was taken into consideration. And so in our lifetime we've been very lucky. We've had our ups and downs, but let's face it, we've had a lovely family, a lovely daughter and son, and daughter-in-law and son-in-law. They're all lovely, and we've been very lucky. And we've got lovely grandchildren too, haven't we, kids? Yeah.
We are there.
So, and I just just want to say it's been a great 50 years, so I'm really happy to be here tonight to be able to celebrate it. So thank you very much. And I'd also like to say, as Claudine did, it's brilliant to see so many of you here, and especially as those of you who've had to travel from down south and from Barcelona, and it's just lovely to have everybody here. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll make it quick. We're just altering things a little bit because we're enjoying our food, I think. So what we're going to do now, we're going to do this at the end, but we're going to ask Emma to come up and let you know. As you know, we've chosen today not to have any presents, no personal presents, and we did on purpose because we really this year have been trying to support Teenage Cancer Trust. One or two of us sitting in here have been touched by cancer, nearly touched by cancer, had scares. That's what happens when you get to the age that quite a few of us are here, and we know people that have been touched. But what we don't expect, and none of us expect, is our 14-year-olds to get it. And we think that our granddaughter particularly, has been incredibly brave and is incredibly staunch this last couple of years in dealing with the cancer that she had, and I do say had, and it's one of those. So we've asked for donations. There are one or two red boxes around from Teenage Cancer Trust. We've chosen Teenage Cancer Trust because it epitomised the charity for me when Emma was in hospital and she's had a treatment, and the first food she could have that she was offered was Teenage Cancer got in touch, and they know about teenagers, and they said, and it just made me laugh, we're going to send you a menu, what sort of pizza do you want? From Domino's, which is, it just sort of encapsulated everything about teenage. So that's why we like Teenage Cancer Trust. On top of that, I've got this wonderful, wonderful photograph of one of the founder members of Teenage Cancer, founder patrons, who is one of my particular heroes, and that's Roger Daltrey, lead singer of The Who. And I've got this great photograph of Emma at the Royal Albert Hall early this year, with her arms around Roger Daltrey and his arms around her. And that's just incredibly special. So Emma, I believe you're going to come and say a few things.
Hi everyone, I want to say thank you to my nan and granddad for choosing to raise money for TCT. This charity means a lot to me because of everything they've done for me. On Halloween in 2017, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer when I was only 13 years old. I've had surgery to remove my full thyroid, the lymph nodes and the tumour up the right side of my neck, alongside 2 doses of radioactive iodine treatment to kill the rest of the cancer cells. I'm still going on with my journey, with some scans and tests coming up later on in this year, which will hopefully lead me on to getting the news I've been waiting for. Teenage Cancer Trust have helped me through so much. I meet up in Glasgow every month for girls and boys going through the same situation as me. I've met so many amazing people through this and some incredible friends. Each group we go to, we always do something fun. Things like bowling, escape rooms, pantomimes, makeup workshops, and every group we go out for a meal, which is such a good thing because we all get to catch up with each other. Ronan, my TCT worker, makes me and the other teenagers feel normal, which is what you need going through this. My latest trip was to London with 3 of the other girls, and we went to Royal Albert Hall, where we went for a music workshop, a tour, met Take That, watched their concert, and the part which was the most amazing experience of my life was when all the teenagers affected by cancer stood on the stage and the audience turned on their flashlights on their phone, and it just made you feel so special. The money raised, which goes to TCT, are used to help provide these trips for us teenagers, and also goes towards making the TCT wards feel like home when you're in hospital going through treatment, which is needed for the long periods of time you're in for. I don't know what I would have done without the help of TCT through my journey of cancer, and I'm really excited to see what I get up to with them in the future. Any donations are very much appreciated and go towards such a good cause, and thank you to everyone who has already donated so far. If you'd like to donate, there is a table just over there, and there's also some pictures that you can see from the groups I've been to. Thank you.
And if you ever wonder why I like my grandchildren, that's a good reason, isn't it? Just before we start giving pudding out and things like that, I'd just like to link this together, because I got a phone call this week of Chris, who you've applauded. Chris rang me and said, you know, when you screwed us to make this deal for this do of yours, and I went, yeah. And he said, you know, you've included £1 tip for everybody, for all the people here for that. I said, yeah. And he said, well, he said, I've had a staff meeting, and he said, we'd like all that amount of money not to come to the staff tonight, we'd like it to go to Emma's charity.